everyone. Welcome in to Flow with Impact. We're going to be talking about teaching hooping as a tool for personal transformation. It's something that I'm very excited about. And if you are here, then you are also excited about it. If you are here live, there is a chat. So at any time, if you want to ask questions, you can put questions in the chat box and I will try to answer them as we go through. But absolutely at the end, we will have time for questions either about Hoop Love Coach training or any of the content that I share in today's workshop. So first of all, before we get started, really important to grab a journal, something that you can write on and write with. This is an interactive workshop, and I'm going to be sharing a lot of different information. And what I really want you to try to do is just to write down things that feel like they will suit you, ideas and tips. I'm going to be giving practical ideas and tips. So things that pop up and you're like, oh, I would really like to use that, or I would change this a little bit to suit my teaching style or my hooping style. Write it down in your journal. Take as many notes as you can. And also, there will be a recording of this so you can look back after and you can take some more extra notes if you need to. So if you miss anything, I'll send you the recording as well. So first of all, if you do have questions about Hoop Love Coach training or about hoop teaching, I've been a hoop teacher for a very long time now, then you can leave them to the end, or if you think that you're going to forget them, then put them in the chat box. Also, let us know where you are joining from around the world. I know there's always hoop teachers all over the planet, which is really exciting. So if you want to get yourself in the mode and embodied here and now, you might want to say hello in the chat. Let us know where you're tuning in from. Again, make sure that you've got your journal and just having a little think. If you want to share with us, you can, but why is it that you're tuning in today? What is it about sharing hooping as personal transformation that has you curious or excited? Hello from Miami, Florida. Oh, hello. That's a big part of the planet right now. I really hope that you are safe and well. You're here. That's quite incredible. South Australia, hello. We're neighbors. We're just across the way. So as you're all introducing yourself, if you don't know who I am, my name is Deanne Love. I'm a hoop teacher and creator. I created hooplovers.tv many, many moons ago, and also Hoop Love Coach Training, which is an online teacher training, and then often sharing inspiration and tips and ideas on Instagram at Deanne Love XO. Hi, North Texas, Vancouver Island, Canada. Welcome. Hello. See, there are hoopers all around the planet. I should also say that if you are not a hoop teacher or you're not even really intending to be a hoop teacher, the practical tips in here in this workshop are going to help your hooping practice. And actually, I mean, we're all hoopers and teachers. They're quite two different things in many different ways in this life. So a lot of the tips in this workshop are going to help you with embodiment, even as you're washing the dishes. So it's not just about hooping or being a hoop teacher, especially if you're feeling like there's a little bit of a block. You're not quite ready to step into teaching. That's totally okay. So I have been very ready to step into teaching since I was a young child. It's always been something that I have loved. And so just to let you know some of the things that I have shared, if we haven't been hooping together, is that I've taught countless workshops in cities around the planet. I've created hundreds of tutorials on YouTube. I've planned and taught and marketed over 60 courses on learn.hooplovers.tv. I don't know how. It's actually because some of the techniques in this workshop have helped me to stay inspired and embodied. I've trained over 1,000 hoop teachers via Hoop Love Coach Training, and I was teaching in-person live classes 3 to 6 times a week in Tokyo and then in Melbourne for many years. This year, since I've been back in Melbourne, I've been sharing lots of things via Zoom. I've developed a kids teaching program. I love teaching kids. Lots of energy though. So if you're interested, Hayley Hoopla and I will be sharing the Little Circles teacher training again at the beginning of next year. So stick around for that. So let's have a look at why hooping. And of course, you might have your own personal journey and interest and excitement. But there is actually some really interesting reasons why hooping is such an incredible tool for transformation. And the next couple of slides, I'm actually going to read out to you. And I just want you to let the words and the concepts and the ideas float through. You may like to write some of these down, just taking some little notes, because some of the content on the next few slides is great for marketing. I'll say that again, it's great for marketing, meaning that a lot of times as a hoop teacher, we have to educate other humans about what hooping actually is. And if you're a hoop teacher, or if you're kind of getting into it, you've probably already heard things like, isn't that just for kids? Or wait, you can do tricks with a hula hoop? Or there's a lot of extra education that has to happen to kind of sometimes get students to turn up to the classes, because they think it's either just for circus stars, or just for kids, or just for losing weight, or just circling around your waist in that really iconic way. But as we know, hooping is so much more than that. So I'm going to share some kind of facts and ideas, maybe the science behind flow, and just let this move through you, let this drift through you. Write down any notes. If you're feeling a little bit distracted right now, I just suggest that you drop your shoulders, let your head go, open your mouth and jaw a few times. Just relax. Notice how you're feeling in your body right here and now. Maybe shaking out your hands or giving yourself a little wiggle, and then finding neutral spine position, natural breath coming into this space if you haven't already. So why hooping? Why? Well, hooping is an incredible tool for change because of its physical, we know this, its mental and its emotional benefits. Hooping offers a full body workout, but it's not just that. We know that. Some of us like to use it as a fitness tool, as a dance tool, as a creative tool, but also it enhances our strength, our flexibility, our cardiovascular health, while also boosting endorphins. They're the chemicals in our body that make us feel good, that lift our mood, that shift things. And that's why hooping tends to feel so great, especially after coming over some of those big challenges or those learning hurdles. But beyond the physical, and this is what we're going to be looking at today, the rhythmic motion of hooping really helps to reduce the anxiety and fosters emotional balance. It's creating a holistic sense of well-being. As I'm saying these words, I'm wondering if you have experienced this as a hooper. And I'm also guessing that if you are wanting to show up, or you're already showing up as a hoop teacher, then you probably are like nodding, like, yes, I felt that. Oh, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I have felt a reduction in my stress levels, my anxiety when I hoop, when I get up and hoop. I wonder, drop me little emojis if you're like, yeah, in the chat box, like, yeah, that hooping really has helped me. So got the thumbs up, definitely. Absolutely. It's one of the big reasons why I continue to do what I do, because I know what a personal impact it's had. So I think if I didn't have this transformation story, and at the end, I want to hear some of yours as well. So if you have felt some of these things, there's some space. I love the emojis too, because it's because I've had such a big, hooping has had such a big impact on my life, that I'm able to show up even through the really challenging parts of teaching or marketing or sharing, because it's such an incredible tool. So scientific links between movement, rhythm, and neuroplasticity, very essential, very important, very, very now we're learning so much more about the brain and the body connection. We're engaging in rhythmic movement, whether it's waist hooping, hand hooping, going through flow sessions. Doesn't matter the style of hooping or the type of hooping. It stimulates our brain's neuroplasticity and its ability, so our brain's ability to form new neural connections. This is very, very important as a human. Yes. And so Leah's just said the creative side of it too forces us out of our anxious brain. So we're coming up with new, fresh ideas. We're making these new neural connections, and it's helping us to improve our cognitive function, so our brain function and our focus. Hello, it's the opposite of this thing. This is my phone. So our phone is taking away focus. We're jumping from one thing to the next, to the next, to the next. When we come into this rhythmic movement with our hooping, we're retraining our body and our brain to focus. And it's essential. 2024, this is what we're looking for. The repetitive nature of hooping combined with that challenge is really important, of learning new things. It strengthens our coordination and enhances our mental clarity. This may be stuff that you already know, but I put this in because sometimes as teachers, we can forget. We're like, oh, it's just hooping, and I just wish people would show up and love it the way that I love it. But there's more to it than just having a bit of fun. It's not just the kids' tool. So, I mean, it's great, it's amazing, but there is more to it. So the connection between play, body awareness, and healing. This is the PowerPoint. This is where we're moving to in this workshop. Hooping invites playfulness into our movement. You know it, you feel it, you've experienced it and embodied it. It's encouraging deeper connection to the body and its sensations. And this is where we move into embodiment. This is where we move into sensuality. And sensuality for me is using our senses. By fostering body awareness, hooping can help release stored tension and emotions. We felt it, right? We know it. It's promoting both our physical and our emotional healing through the joy of self-expression. Now, here is the powerful part. We all express in a different way. You may have 5 students, you may have 20 students, you might have a sea of 100 students in your workshop or class, and they're all going to be doing self-expression. You might lead and teach the perfect class with all of the tricks lined up and have it all very mapped out, but each one of those individuals, including yourself, self-expression. This is the PowerPoint. So what we're really doing, whether we have thought about it, sensed it, embodied it or not, is we're moving into flow states, and flow states are a really powerful piece. And maybe this is not something that you bring into your teaching. You might not school your students on this, but it's really important stuff and background knowledge to have as a teacher. So a flow state is a mental zone. It can also feel very physical and sometimes ethereal and spiritual. It can be this beautiful state that hoopers love to play in, where we're fully absorbed in the present moment. So that to me is focus. And in our day today, we are so distracted. There are so many things that draw us away from focus. And look, I even just looked at my phone right then to be like, oh, is there something no. Flow state. We are effortlessly focused and we're in harmony with our movements. Doesn't this make you want to pick up your hoop? It makes me just want to hoop. I'm like, hooping's really amazing. So this hooping naturally cultivates this through the rhythm and the repetition. So we move into flow states. Sometimes they're fleeting. Sometimes you just feel it for a moment. Hi, Philadelphia. And sometimes you can feel like, oh, I just hooped for a whole hour. And where did time go? Power of flow states. So let's go into some practical tips here. I want to fill this workshop with some things that you could take away and you could use with yourself or use in your classes. And as I share these practical tips, I want you to think about your special sauce, how you like to teach. Even if you don't know specifically what that means right now, if you're coming into your teaching practice, then just think like, oh, how would I modify this to suit my vocabulary and the way that I like to hoop, because we're all self-expressing. I want you to do this in your way. So here's some flow state awareness that you can bring into your classes. This is a practical tip. With your students, you could do a body scan or some sensory awareness. Remember, sensory is the senses: sight, touch, smell, taste. So you could ask your students to pause, take a break mid-hooping, and just do a quick body scan. Get them to notice the sensations of their body. And now we're wanting to do this in a really gentle, calm, because remember, all bodies are different. Everyone's coming with a different story and a different background. So we're being very gentle. There's no forcing with this. Hi from Costa Rica. Welcome. Noticing the sensations of their body, the rhythm of their breath, the flow of the hoop, and how their muscles might feel. And of course, you don't have to do all of these. You might just ask your students a question mid-hooping. Encourage them to reflect on whether they feel a sense of ease, effortlessness, focus, or maybe even challenge, because challenge is also a big trigger for flow. We need it to be a little bit challenging, otherwise we get bored and apathetic. And so by tuning into these physical sensations, they can become aware of when they're in that flow state. And it can be really simple and really quick. And you can do this a few times throughout your class. You might also, this is the second practical tip, and again, you might be writing down different ideas that come to mind. Let them flow through, let them happen. You don't have to do exactly as I do. How would you share a body scan in your class? Do you feel comfortable doing it? Would it feel like it's a little bit awkward? How might you find the words to help your students feel into what their breath feels like, feel into the sensations of their body? So you could do movement with breath connection. You could guide your students to synchronize their movements with deep, steady breathing. Now, I am not one for forcing anyone into a breathing pattern, especially when they're working out or hooping, because breath work is a very powerful and potent tool. So it's more for me about asking them to find their natural breath. Remember, self-expression, their natural breath, not you as the teacher. All of our bodies are very different. Your cardiovascular system is completely different to someone else's. And also your fitness history, your movement history. So I am never about forcing and saying, you need to take exactly the same breaths as me or in, out. That's not my way. We're asking the students to find their way. So reminding them to focus solely on the rhythm of their breath and the hoop's motion. So maybe they feel the hoop if it's on their belly, or if you're doing upper body breaks, or maybe you're on your hand, or maybe it's above the head. You could do this, passing around the body every time it comes into their right hand. Maybe they're taking an inhale. Every time they pass it behind their back, are they exhaling? You can do this in many different, test it out on your body first. See what feels like a rhythm. And after a few minutes, or even just a few moments, ask them if they notice the merging of their breath and the movement. And if time seems to slow down or even disappear, because have you felt this before as a hooper? You start to just do a rhythmic pattern or maybe the same trick over and over again. And suddenly you're not so conscious of time. You're not so focused on like, oh, all the things I have to do, or all the distractions or stress in the phone. So there's another practical tip that this might be sparking ideas for you in another way. So remembering that the benefits of flow states, even though you might not teach flow states, you might not say, now we're going into a flow state, because it's not the same for every human. And some students, especially if you're teaching beginner hoop classes, they might not be coming to, they're like, flow states, whoa, I just came to learn how to hula hoop on my waist and do a couple of tricks. Like, it can be a lot, but maybe your teaching style is like this. Maybe you want to introduce flow right from the beginning. You get to choose. But the benefits of flow states are enhanced focus. Oh, please give me more focus. Stress relief. Oh, thank you. Anytime. Increased creativity. Cannot get enough of it. Hello. Ideas are flowing. Improved coordination and emotional resilience. This workshop doesn't even begin to cover the power of hooping and nervous system regulation. Maybe that's a whole entire other workshop, but let's just say it's there. Okay, thanks, Leah. I'm glad that you love these tips. I want them to feel practical for you. And I can't say enough, I want them to be your self-expression as a teacher. So here are some practical invitations to flow, because maybe you're wondering, I spoke about this before. I said, use your words, your vocabulary. So let's play with that. I'm going to give you 3 different invitations to flow, some words that I might say, and let's see if you can put it in your own words. So one of the invitations to flow, I would say, breathe with your movements, let the hoop follow your breath. Now, what does that mean? Everyone is going to self-express differently. Everyone has a different way of being embodied. Everyone's got different stuff going on in their head. So the invitation to flow, breathe with your movements, let the hoop follow your breath. This connects movement with breath, encouraging focus and relaxation. But how might you say that kind of invitation in your vocab or your style? Now, you can totally use mine. Let the hoop follow your breath. How does your breath want to move your hoop? How does your hoop want to move your breath? And it's really just bringing some focus to that breath, body, hoop connection. It's an invitation to flow. How might you say this? You can write down a few words. We're looking for that breath and movement connection in this type of invitation. Breathe with your movements. Let the hoop follow your breath. Another invitation to flow is to bring that hoop and body connection. So focus, I like to say, something like this. Sometimes it's different. And in the flow of teaching, other words come out, and that's totally fine. Focus on the sensation of the hoop on your body, connecting to your body, touching your body, whatever words feel best for you, and allow everything else to fade away. It's simply an invitation for the brain, the body, the mind, the energy of the hooper. Focus on the sensation of the hoop on your body. And just for a moment, I often say just for a moment, because sometimes our students can be like, wait, what? How long have I got to do this? So sometimes I put a time container on it, because that can help the nervous system of our students to be like, oh, okay, just for a moment. Rather than like, we're all such high achievers. Like, we want to know, are we doing it right all of the time? This type of invitation, this grounds students in the present moment, and it's inviting them to reduce the distractions, whether they do or not. It's just an invitation. Yes, tune into the contact points of your hoop on your body. Thanks, Leah. So there may be connection. Sometimes if your students, and this is a great tip for beginner waist hoopers or hand hoop, whatever, your really basic beginner who just says to you, and this might have happened to you, I just can't seem to get it. It doesn't seem to be working. And they start to get into that headspace of like, it's not working for them. This type of invitation of, where can you feel the hoop connect with your hand? And they're like, what? I hadn't even really thought about it, because they're so in their head about trying to make it look the way that it's meant to, or that the hoop's dropping and running away. Where does it touch you? Where does it hit your hand? Where does it hit your belly? If they can't feel it on their belly, because different people have different sensations on their waist and on the core of their body, maybe you take their hands, or they take their hands, you suggest that they take their hands and put it in between the hoop and their body, and just see if the hoop is hitting their hands. Can they make that connection? So we're talking here about bringing the hoop body connection. And the third one, stay with this movement. This is about repetition, which is a really powerful technique to bring into your classes, because we all know we all learned through repetition. I don't think any one of us here, just some tricks we pick up and we're like, oh, I did it once and you did it. Most of us have done every single hoop trick many multiple times, sometimes hundreds or thousands of times, because repetition is a powerful tool for learning and for rhythmic flow. Okay, Sheena, this is a really incredible suggestion. Sheena says, I feel like my flow state is limited because I'm limited in tricks. I'm going to blow that myth out of the water. You can drop into a very deep flow state with one trick. You only need one. If you had one trick, imagine a runner. What do runners do? How many tricks do runners have? They run. Running is one of the most powerful ways to move into flow states. And if you look up running flow states, you will see so much research and education around the deep flow state. This is how runners can just go on. And we're like, how can you just one? All you might need is one, because a flow sessions or flow sequences in hooping is, where we're like, I put this trick, then this trick, then this trick. That's a different idea to a flow state, like a scientific. This has been a study. This is not just in hooping, it's in all forms of movement and creativity and sport and athleticism. This is when we bring ourselves into that state of focus and things start to drop away. And you can do that with just one trick, which is very exciting. And this is how, when I first started hooping, I really just had waist hooping, and I had my headphones on, and this is how I completely transformed my mind and my body, and my focus was mostly just through waist hooping. I didn't have a lot of tricks at all. And we've seen hooping grow so much. I mean, I started hooping like 17 years ago. We've seen it grow so much, and now there's so many tricks, and I would even encourage a hooper who has the most incredible array of tricks to come back to the repetition of one or two. It's a hard practice, but it's a beautifully deep practice, especially when you're used to using a lot of different tricks. Sometimes, dare I say it, don't tell anyone I said this, it can even feel a bit boring in the beginning, because our brain will tell us like, no, I'm supposed to have more tricks and I need to do. But remember, it's your self-expression. So if you need to line up 100 tricks to drop into a flow state, then that's what you need. It will mean that's a whole other workshop. But Sheena, you can have deep connection of embodiment and where the hoop is moving with breath and body and mind through just one trick. Okay, so let's have a look at, and I'm really open to discussing that more. But I will really get on my, I promise you don't need a lot of tricks, and neither do your students. And it's also, I hear this so many times, that I need so many tricks to be a hoop teacher. Hooping and teaching are two different separate things. And so you could honestly have, let's say, 10 tricks. Like in Hoop Love Coach training, the second module, I teach you 100 tricks, how to learn them and how to teach them. And they're the foundations of hooping, the on body and the off body and the transitions, 100. But if you only knew 10 of those, you could still teach an incredible beginner's class, because your hoopers, your new students who are coming, know zero. So they would be leaving that beginner's workshop with 10 tricks, plus potentially all of this flow state knowledge, plus joy and freedom and a reduction in their anxiety. And so a class is not just about the tricks, but I totally get it. We're always trying to learn tricks. And that it really helps, actually, being a teacher as well. It kind of motivates you to learn new things and fresh things for your students. But we're always, like, 17 years on, I'm still learning new tricks. We will never know them all. And then these amazing hoopers are making up new tricks every single day. So the tricks thing is a big topic. So mindfulness practices for your hoop classes. Let's have a little look. Here are some ways that you could bring in mind. What do we mean when we talk about mindfulness? This is a big buzzword. Maybe it's similar but different to say. Some people use focus or embodiment, and we're bringing in this state of presence. We're being present with what we are doing. And that's how I am going to use the word mindfulness, that we're being present with what we're doing. So one way that you could bring this in, and you don't have to tell your students like, now we're doing a mindfulness practice. But if that suits your vocab, then do it. But here's one way you could warm up right from the beginning, even without a hoop. So you could start the class with or without a hoop with a short mindful movement warm up where the students focus on gentle flowing movements. Maybe you've got a beautiful song in the background that really suits this type of movement. And the flowing movements without the hoop, or again with the hoop, if that feels good, you could make up a sweet, very gentle flow that didn't require any tricks, just maybe holding with two hands, especially if it's beginners, because like your warm up in a beginners, if they don't know any tricks and you're like, and then we do this and this and that, they're like, what? So we just keep it really gentle, instruct them to pay attention to their breath, the sensations of their body, and the rhythm of their movements. Encourage them to notice how their body feels as they warm up. That might be through those invitations to flow or questioning, fostering a deeper connection with the present moment before introducing the hoop. I like to use things like follow your feet. How do your feet want to move? Can you follow your feet around the space and then let the rest of your body, maybe your knees, maybe you could do a body scan thing like, now let your knees move, your hips move, your torso move, your head, your shoulders, your arms. Feels like I could do a whole workshop on how to do incredible warm-ups. Another practice, I couldn't decide which one to put in. Was it blindfold hooping or silent hooping? So again, we're thinking about the senses. I chose silent hooping because blindfold hooping is often a big thing, because we're shutting down our line of sight, and that can really help us, but it's not for everyone. So I went with silent. Everyone loves a bit of silence every now and then, don't they? So you could incorporate a segment of silent hooping where students practice without music or without your verbal instruction. Just let them have some time. It can be hard as a teacher because you feel like you have to, be teaching all the time and creating all this space and like pouring in new tricks. But what if you just ask them to focus solely on the sound of the hoop and their breath? You invite them to explore their movements freely and notice any thoughts or distractions. Wow, okay. That would be a lot for me. But notice them. Sometimes there's so much going on in your students' brains, and it's just like in their body and their brain, they're coming with all this stuff. And sometimes you just get them to tune into, wow, okay, I was thinking about what I was going to have for dinner. I was worrying about the upset conflict that I had with my partner. I was concerned because I left my dog at home. Like all of these things. What about right here in this hoop? Redirecting their attention back to the sensations of the hoop in their body. And this encourages that mindfulness. Sharon says that I worry about not knowing everything. I'm growing in my hooping competency, but have a deep appreciation for hooping as a therapy tool and also a fitness tool. I feel like I need training in these disciplines also to be a prepared teacher. Yes. So here's the thing, Sharon and Deanne Love and everyone else on the planet. We don't know everything. I don't know. I'll never know everything. I am learning. The beautiful part about being a teacher that has just incredibly expanded my life and my relationships and my vision and my business is that there's always something new to learn. There's always something that I could learn. I will never, if I had have waited to feel like I knew everything before I started teaching, I wouldn't have spent the last 17 years having the most incredibly fulfilling and exciting and challenging and expansive life around the world as a teacher, because I still don't feel ready. I still don't know everything. I'm still not quite like, there's always something. Every day I'm reading research or, I'm getting a new song that inspires me. Like I'm always in that pattern of feeling like there's something new to learn. So I appreciate you dropping this here, Sharon, because I think a lot of us feel this. Like to be prepared, we really need this. It's like, but we're never going to know it all. It's like taking small steps. I always say this: courage on repeat, little steps over and over again. There's not one destination that we get to and then we're like, right, I am ready and I know it all. Well, I haven't. Has anyone else got to that? Because I have not got to that, but I have taught tens of thousands of humans to hoop. Have I taught you to hoop? Maybe. Hopefully I did a good job. Oh, please. I hope that I shared some wisdom with you, but I don't know it all. I know. So Autumn says, I love this silent hooping flow. Yes, being a fire hoop. Oh my goodness. The sound of fire. If you have not fire hooped, thank you for bringing this into the space, Autumn. If you have not fire hooped, find, if you can, if it's something that's in your dream, find some fire safety professional, helpful humans in your area and give it a go if you can. So much focus, as Autumn says, and peace to the flow session. So much beauty in those silent moments of pure focus. And this is something you can do for yourself as a hooper that's going to inform your teaching. Maybe you never share with any of your students that you're a fire hooper, because you really have to also, part of the self-care of being a teacher is giving yourself these experiences of expansion. It's kind of like being in partnership with everything. We need to also pour into our own cup with these beautiful experiences. Maybe you fire hoop once and you never, or maybe it becomes this big thing. Like it's an experience that's out there for you to feel these flow states. I've been watching your videos since I started hooping over a decade ago. I just wanted to say thank you. No, thank you. You're the biggest reason I found love for hooping. Oh, hey, that is very amazing. I wish that I could see your faces. It's a bit funny, this stuff online, isn't it? Where it's like you're just these gorgeous, glowing, you're like a little cute name and a beautiful message in a chat box. I wish that we could hoop together. Carrie, the whoosh of, I know exactly what that sound is. Do we all know the whoosh of either fire hooping, or if you've not fire hooped, the whoosh of your hoop when you whip it really fast? Okay, so going back to, you're all doing so well to stay connected with this. Remember, writing down as much as you need. Yes, you're talking about the fire. Carrie's talking about the whoosh of fire, a ring of fire around you. I know for some people it can sound terrifying, but the rush is divine. So as a hoop teacher, your role is to empower through movement and to provide a safe container for personal transformation. I know that sounds really massive and you're like, what? I just thought I had to create a lesson plan and then show up and teach tricks. I have to empower personal transformation. No, wait, we're getting there. I'll give you some more tips. So to create an inclusive and supportive learning environment and to encourage that self-exploration. That's how your students are going to feel that growth. And you've either felt that from other teachers, maybe, if you want to take a little moment to think about how other teachers might have encouraged self-exploration in you. Sometimes it's just through very simple cues, like those invitations to flow, like how does it feel, or try this, or maybe there's something else that you'd like to try on. So here's this is how I like to do it. Maybe some of the teachers, or maybe this is how you like to do it. Again, it's about building this safe container and these relationships. And so it's about establishing clear communication and check-ins. And this doesn't have to be a big thing, but it needs to be grounded in the container when you open a class or when you open a space to teach. And so I like to begin each class with an open dialogue where the students can share their comfort levels. And often I can tell, you probably know this feeling. You can tell like when someone's a little bit nervous or they're a little bit stressed or so it's like, okay, you're just checking in with all of your students' comfort levels, and it might not even be a verbal, You might just be sensing how everyone is. So you're bringing them in with your own energy, with your empathy and your smile and your energy and your enthusiasm for this. This will allow people to come into the space. And so you might want to check with them if they have any physical limitations. It's really important to just check in so people are aware of their own bodies and any limitations they might have, and they can voice that with you so that you know if you need to offer a modification for someone, or if maybe you had in the lesson plan to do something that you know someone, like maybe they've got a broken wrist and they've come and so you're like, oh, you know what, instead of that, we'll work more on body with you. So and any personal goals they might have. Sometimes this might not be for every teacher in the beginning, but sometimes I just like to say like, oh, what are people working on? And I just keep it in the back of my mind. Even if I have a plan to do something different, I'll just be like, oh, that person said they were really into escalators. When we get to that bit, I might say, oh, do you know what? You could also try this. It can be very quick and very simple. And so you can encourage, you have this open space where you can get them to check in throughout the class. Now, oftentimes students will be so busy learning, they'll have their stress and concentration face on that they'll forget or be too nervous to ask questions. And especially as adults, we want to get it right and be able to do it perfect straight away, but that's not how life works. And so opening up and saying, hey, ask me any questions anytime. This is allowing students to express their needs or preferences for modifications. If they're like, I'm just not getting it, or, oh, that's really easy, I got that. You might want to give them like the backwards weave, or you might be like, oh, by the way, so you're watching, everyone's going to be self-expressing. And so this gives that sense of community and support, and also showing that everyone is valued. It's not just, oh, the person who, you know, needs that extra support or that is really good at the tricks, or just watching all of your students. Okay, so tools for supporting transformation. Many of you have suggested that you're really into this. We've got about 15 minutes left. Probably in the next like 10 minutes, I'll open up for any questions. So if you've got extra questions about either Hoop Love Coach training or this transformational stuff, then please let me know. So we're supporting transformation. We've talked about the power of flow states. And one of the things that I like to do in my lesson planning is just either have it, you know, so if you write down your lessons, maybe you don't, maybe you do, is incorporate both tricks, skills, and that somatic or emotional or embodiment exploration. So I'm blending in skill development and reflective practices by including guided, maybe journaling. I do that a lot more now than I did in my older classes, and also maybe some group discussions or about certain movements or skills. And that's just encouraging this deeper emotional connection with the practice. And again, it doesn't have to take up the whole class. It might just be a tiny little sprinkling, but it's there. It's more than just a training class. Another thing that I like to do to work, this is another tool for supporting that transformation. And remember, it's just this thread that's flowing through. Yes, you're teaching the tricks. Yes, you're doing the epic warm-up. Yes, we're building strength and fitness. Yes, we're feeling that joy and flow. But there's also this other kind of current that flows through. So I'm designing classes that focus on flow and reflection. So I structure my classes to kind of alternate between like dynamic hooping. I'm thinking about the ebb and the flow of my class all the time, because we can't just be like, you know, busting it out at this level. Not everyone that comes to your class is going to have the fitness level or the movement background. Some will and some won't. And so we're thinking about that all the time. So we're wanting to promote flow and intentional pauses. Just have a breather. Think about this, you know, like it happens in every part of nature. It even happens in DJ sets. Have you ever been to a long DJ set, or maybe some kind of, maybe this is relatable to you, a club set or anything, a dance class where you're like, go, go, go. And then, you know, the music's pumping and we're all dancing and everything's like it. And then all of a sudden we need a little break, and we have that break for reflection. We have that pause for mindfulness to kind of look around and be like, oh, okay, here we are. So we're allowing our students to reflect on their experiences and integrate their learning. And here's the last little one. A great way that I like to do it is to bring in creative expression through choreography. Now, don't get too stressed about that word. That just means putting tricks together. It doesn't have to be a performance for a huge gala night. Could just be picking 4 tricks and flowing them together, and improvising, freestyle. So think about having those 2 moments for both of those in your classes. You can foster an environment of creative exploration by giving students opportunities to create their own short sequences. I love this. Maybe you gift it to them though. Maybe you're like, we're going to do passing, halo, and waist hooping, like whatever the level is, and improvise flow. And I call that playtime. I always have one song for playtime at the end where they just get to play and explore and integrate. It's really important alongside structured teaching. Structure and flow, sweet spot. Yes. So we're empowering them to express their unique movement, style, and also bring in their own personal stories, bring in their own way of movement. Maybe they don't even know that. And this is where the transformation comes. They're like, wow, I didn't even know I could move like that. Wow, I didn't know this song would make me feel that way. This is transformation. Okay, so after this class, this is a little bit of homework for you. I want you to think about your transformation stories. Maybe this has kind of excavated some of that, because hooping creates a safe space for vulnerability. Whether you've thought about this or not, whether it's a fitness tool or it's a performance tool, or it's an exploration by encouraging your students and you as a teacher, as a creator, as a hooper, to express freely. It's allowing them to embrace their authentic selves without fear or judgment, or fear of judgment, and fostering personal growth and emotional healing. What? Just from a plastic circle? Get out of town. So your homework is to think about your personal transformation story. And of course, if there's anything that you want to share, I know, like in a chat box, because I know you could probably write a whole book about how hooping has transformed your life and your freedom and all these things. If you think right back to the first moment that you picked up a hoop and you were like, oh, wow, okay, wonder where this will take me. And now you're here. Some of you 10 years on, some of you, 2 months on, some of you have just picked up a hoop. What is your transformation or your personal transformation story? And you may or may not share this with your students. Over the years, I have shared mine many times because I think it really helps people to be like, oh, I can relate to that, or that's super inspiring. So I'm going to open up to questions now. Maybe you have questions about this mindfulness stuff, about transformation. Maybe you have questions about Hoop Love Coach training or about teaching. We're doing really good with time. Your focus is incredible. Maybe you want to look back over your notes. If you do have questions about Hoop Love Coach training, while you're dropping your questions in the chat box, I'm just letting you know that the next teacher training starts on October 28th. Yes, it's online. So it's an online training. There's community support from me and all of the other hoop teachers around the world. You can stream or download it 24/7. So there's no, like, you don't have to be there at a certain time, because we're all around the planet. We saw that already. You get to learn from an expert. That's me. Hello. I have been doing this for a very long time. Obsessed 24/7. There's a certificate of completion and you get to learn at your own pace, but over the 12 weeks of the training, I send you guidance emails every week so that you can map out how, like, you're not left alone. You're going to map out how you go through the materials. So please make sure, this is very important. I think that some people come to Hoop Love Coach training because they think, oh, I can get, if you're like me, I can get another certificate. I can do another course. But I want you only, and some of the past Hoop Love coaches will tell you this, that I want you to do it because of the learning, because we don't know everything and we're constantly learning. I want you to do it for the support and the connection. I want you to do it for yourself. Because it brings purpose to your life and others, because we can be of service. That's my greatest dream in life, to be of service do it for growth, do it for community, do it for fun, and do it for passion. The pricing is $398 one-time payment, Australian dollars, which is a lot less in US because the Australian dollar sucks. It is low. Or you could do monthly, like 2 monthly payments or 3 monthly payments if that works for you. And we start together on the 28th of October. If you are excited by it, you can go to hooplovecoaching.com. But right now, I'm excited by your questions. So I'm going to take a quick look, and we still have 10 minutes left before we hit the hour mark. So Leah, thank you for the amazing tips. I'm glad that they were helpful. I hope that they were practical, and I hope that you could just write down some ideas for reflection later on, because each one of those tips could be expanded on in multiple different ways. Think about sensory. Think about, like, I know that you really liked the silent hooping. So it's like, okay, that's tapping into our hearing, into our sense of whether we're connecting with music or not, or vocals or not. So what are the other senses? There are other ways that you could bring in mindfulness through other sensory practices in your classes. How long does the course take to complete? It is 12 weeks. The first 8 weeks, we go through 8 modules, and then we have some reflection and revision time. Some people do like to smash it out faster, if that's something, but there's a lot. There's a lot. We go through everything from creating your own special branding and who you are as a teacher, to the foundation tricks, to teaching sequences, to bringing in income, to building your business, to how to make, like, there's so many elements. So it's a 12-week course. Is one hula hoop enough to do the training? Yes. I started with one hula hoop. Where is it? I had a really massive hula hoop when I first started. I wish it was around here somewhere. I'm looking around my studio, but yes, because you need one hula hoop to start practicing and moving. And when I first started, yes, I had one hula hoop, and now I have so many. I'm falling off my seat here. I have so many because, but that took a while to build up a stack for my students. And sometimes some hoop teachers, I should let you in on this, like sometimes getting a whole stack of hoops feels like a big investment, but they team up with someone else who, like, I remember in the beginning, I was getting a stack of hoops from a friend who was already a hoop teacher. And I was using that because I was like, is this my thing? Is this what and so I borrowed some hoops, but then I was like, oh no, I'm totally in love with this. And like, I made my own hoops. So, but you're starting the training, it's just you and your hoop. And in the module 2, there's a little bit of twin stuff, but a lot of hoop teachers don't teach twins. It's just there in case you're curious. So, Sheena, you're still going through the Hoop Love coaching since 2022. That's so exciting too. So it's always there for you. You can go back. Module 1 is super powerful because it's all this stuff about, like, who am I as a teacher? How do I want to show up? What is my style? And often Hoop Love coaches will go back like every year or every 6 months back into the training and answer the questions. I give you all these questions to kind of get really curious about what your message is and how you're going to market your hooping. So yes, you have unlimited access. I would like to learn more sensual movements with the hula hoop, possibly use the hoop as a prop in burlesque. One of my best friends is an incredible burlesque performer here in Melbourne and a beautiful hula hoop teacher. Her name is Hayley Hoopla. If you have not checked her out, then take a little look. And yeah, this is the thing with hooping. There's so much possibility. And even myself, my own self-expression has morphed a lot in different ways as I have changed over the years. And then I've been able to gift that and pass that on to my students, either through teaching or performance. So I'm really excited about that. Oh, someone is doing a breakdown of the money. Thank you. So obviously, all of anything that, because I'm in Australia, so I charge in Australian dollars, but this is all done in like a secure, I don't have anything to do with conversion rates, or so it gets converted based on the conversion rate of the day at the time of purchase. And that's all done in a secure online checkout. But if anyone was curious, thanks, Kaylin, 165 AUD is 110 USD. I'm interested, Leah. I'm interested in becoming a hoop teacher and taking this to do workshops in the corporate sector for well-being. Oh my goodness, yes, stress relief and creativity. Have you had any experience in this area? Do you know of other hoop teachers doing this kind of work? Oh my goodness, yes, absolutely. So, this is a really incredible piece. I did this a lot in corporate and in schools as well. And schools, when it comes to school, we could do a whole week on talking about just this, designing and crafting a workshop that you take around. And of course, there'll be modifications based on like special requests, but a workshop, maybe it's an hour that you take around to different corporations, different workplaces, different schools. When I say schools, if you're not into teaching children, there's a lot of teachers that need a lot of stress relief, like a lot of stress relief. So crafting, and we do crafting parties, classes, parties, and workshops. So classes are often, if you think about it, like a course. Maybe you do a 6-week course for beginners or a 4-week course. And a party is often a celebration, right? It's going to be very different because you go in for an hour for like, maybe it's a pre-wedding party or a birthday party. So it's going to be very celebratory, and you're going to put together a little short sequence and make it very pop and fun. And then a workshop is a specialty piece that you're going to craft. And I feel like this is what you're talking about. And it's something that you offer as with a very specific, tailored message. And hooping, we know this, brings all of the things that I just spoke, like right in the beginning, flow states. You could actually, a great way to market it is through these flow states or this stress reduction. Or so you're picking a topic or a pain point, a way that you would like to offer or market to these spaces, and you're crafting the workshop, and then you're able to take it around and have a price point that you charge, and that's going to be different in different parts of the planet. I wish I could say like everyone, every workshop is $500. There's not a flat rate on the planet, unfortunately. So it will take a little bit of research to find out like what other people might be charging. You could look up in your area, like maybe you can even do a Google search of like corporate workshops. You might find that's how, when I originally started doing incursions or workshops in schools, that's how I found that price point. I just Googled like what other companies were doing or what other teachers were doing. So that's a really exciting, it's super clever too, because you can formulate one type of workshop and take it around to many areas. Other teachers, if you're listening to this and you're like, no, that is not my vibe, other teachers like to stay in one space and have their students come to them. So that's a different model and a beautiful model. Maybe you're in one studio or one space or one yoga or one school, and then your students come to you. And then Leah's kind of suggesting where you create the workshop and you go around to different venues or different corporations. So there's different ways that you can teach. I just finished the Hoop Love Coach course. It's the best thing I ever done. Yay, yes. Sheena. So Leah, I plan to go that route as well. I've taught a corporate class here in the city at Amazon and would like to host other classes as a part of a wellness activity for employees. It is big space. So there are so many corporations and companies and businesses that really need this kind of work. And you could pitch it as a personal transformation. If that feels too big, it could be stress relief. It could be mental health day. It could be, there are many different avenues that you could go. And what you want to remember, so you're going to have your plan, so your time frame, your container, your playlist, your music, all this stuff we talk about how to create the workshop. And then they're all going to be probably beginners. A lot of them may have desk jobs, so you're going to have much bigger hoops. There'll be games involved. There'll be some skill learning, but then they're not really coming for a hoop class. Like they haven't signed up to learn the 10 tricks for beginners. They're there to have a freeing, embodied, great time. Not everybody is in their body. A lot of them, are coming from different, they're not all going to be like circus stars. So it's a really exciting space to be moving into. I would love that. Sheena says, I've held hula hoop classes at my daughter's school. I just love sharing this form of movement. Yes, absolutely. Me too. And there's so many ways that you can share. And Autumn asks a really important question. Do you have to have liability insurance to do classes, or can I just write a fancy piece of paper and say I won't sue you? Wait a minute. Okay. All right. Number one, Deanne Love is not a lawyer, and I don't know the legal systems of all places around the planet. But I can tell you what I know in Australia is that we, as teachers, we get insurance for ourselves. And again, you will have to check this for your location. Very important. This is not legal advice. I have to get public liability insurance and I have to get professional indemnity insurance. And I get that from an insurer. Now, when I first started hoop teaching way back, when I was in Japan, they were like, insurance, don't worry about it. It'll be fine. And I was like, what? I'm from Australia where it's really litigious. And what if someone hurts them? I had these questions. Now, and then when I moved to Australia, insurance for a teacher or performer was really expensive. And I was like, oh no, I can't afford it. But now, because there's so many of us and everyone needs insurance, it's quite affordable. So in Australia, I use Duck for Cover. It's a great one for hoop teach. It's actually specific. You can tick hoop teacher, I think. I'm pretty sure. Maybe it's movement teacher now. They might have changed it. I love Duck for Cover. They also cover equipment. They cover like performance. I think they cover like things if you're traveling. They've really changed over the years. And I want to say it's a few $100s for a whole entire year. And it's very worth it. And you can use it for other things. So you can tick. And so this also applies in the US and in Canada, but not Duck for Cover, obviously. You're going to have your own. But if you Google teacher or movement teacher or fitness teacher insurance in your area, you'll likely be able to find. And if you can't find, that's the other thing about Hoop Love coaches is that there are hoop teachers working around the planet, and we have an online, like a Facebook group where you can jump into and be like, hey, where do you get your insurance and how much did it cost? And you can ask very specific questions there, or you could Google it. This has been so great. Will, thank you. My business partner has been trying to get me to teach for the last 2 years. Oh, wow. Okay. It's okay. Hey, it's your timing. You just go with your flow. And I just keep saying, I'm not ready. I wonder how what's coming up. I don't know enough. Yeah, look, it's totally fair. Hey, be sweet and kind to yourself. That's a really solid. It's also it's kind of a narrative and a myth that we cling to for a protective reason. We're protecting ourselves, right? We're like, I don't know enough. I'm not ready. No, not yet. I do that with so many projects. So I just want to say, can relate, but no more. That's so cool. Thanks to this hoop mummy and siblings. Hey, look, go gently, take what you have absorbed today and start putting it into, you can create a plan, make a playlist, whatever keeps you in the flow. And if you are on that precipice, if you are feeling like Will, if you're feeling like a few of us where you're like, oh, I'm not ready. I think it was Sheena. I think a few other people were like, oh, I don't know what to do. It's totally fine. Just if you can, in a really gentle way, look that narrative in the face and be like, yes, I might not feel ready yet, but here are the things that I do know. I've got 10 tricks, let's say. I've got 20. Write them down. Dump it out. Get it out and away from that story that keeps going over and over in your head. I've got support. You could reach out to other teachers. You might like to do the hoop training with me. You might like to start doing some research, whatever. And then you can start to create a plan. Maybe you want to make a list of places that you're going to reach out to. to teach. Maybe you're going to make a playlist for your first ever workshop. Maybe you're going to make an actual plan for your first workshop or your first hoop course. Set the wheels in motion, courage on repeat, little by little, one step at a time. You can't do it all. Unfortunately, in today, like here now, it's lunchtime. I'm not going to get it all done today. But we've done this. We had some juicy, yummy invitations to flow. So we've done something today. So take that away, celebrate that. And then tomorrow we do another little thing. And then we do another little thing. So I'm just really here. Oh, last one. Sarah, will there be a module in the teacher training on the history of hula hoops, on breath work? Wait, am I reading the same? I often hold my breath while hula hooping and doing yoga or even dancing. Oh, there is not a whole module on the history of hula hoops. Do you know, I had this exact conversation, Sarah, it wasn't even with you, yesterday as I was walking with a friend, and I was like, my first ever teacher training back in Tokyo, I used to have this really specific list of the histories of hula hooping. And I was like, I wonder how much new information I can add to that these days. So there's not a whole module on that, nor is there a module on breath work, but I would absolutely, what I love is that you know that you're holding your breath. Now, one flip side of that is you are not holding your breath, because if you were holding your breath, you would pass out and potentially die. So your body, in its infinite wisdom, knows what your natural breath state is. But if you are yawning or you're feeling like you're depleted in energy, then yeah, maybe you need a little bit more oxygen. And so breath, we can sip it in. I love the awareness. I love that you're like, you know what? I'm just holding it. I'm going to consciously bring a little bit more oxygen in. But your body is deeply, deeply knowledgeable, and it knows what level of breath and oxygen, unless there's something else going on, in which case go and see a specialist on that, that you need to maintain your energy. And if you have some feelings like you're tapping in, that you need some expansive breath, it's always there. It's always there for you to deepen, maybe softening down into your belly. And look, again, whole week of workshops, the body holds tension. The body holds, it keeps the score, doesn't it? So there's other ways to filter breath through in the rhythmic movement that we do. Carrie, your words are ringing so true. I keep telling myself I can't do it all. Oh, what would happen if we could do it all? I'd never sleep. I'm still fresh off the back of Oasis. Oh my gosh, everyone was so sad that I know I was so sad that I wasn't there either. Life this year, let me tell you, we need to catch up and have a cuppa over how intense life has been. I felt I was doing the same thing in a tap class last week, Sarah. I think I was super concentrating on my feet and not on my breath. Again, it's such a common thing, isn't it? It's like sometimes we're like we're not in our kind of rhythmic, natural, buoyant breath pattern. And then the beautiful awareness that you're having is like, oh, how can I soften? How can I open a channel to allow the breath to naturally move through me? How beautiful. Hey, all of you incredible hoopers, there's been some big stuff dropped in this chat. I'm loving these questions. I am loving you. I'm letting you know that we're coming close. We're past the hour. So I want to honor and respect your time. I want to thank you deeply for showing up. Go back to all of the things that you wrote down, or I'll send this recording out to you. If you are joining me for Hoop Love Coaching, hooplovecoaching.com. We're going to start on October 28th, so you've got a bit of time. But if you sign up this time, I'll send you a preparation pack so you can get ready as soon as you need to. So much love for you. Thank you for the love hearts. Thank you for the gratitude. I'm sending it back to you. I hope that you can feel it. We don't know everything, but we're getting there. We're moving. Courage on repeat, step by step, little bit at a time. I believe in you. I have faith in you. I'm mostly excited that you share this powerful transformation tool with as many humans as you can. whether it's in your backyard or on the world stage or whatever. It's not about that. It's about sharing in a way that you can, self-expressing in your way. Okay, I love you all so much. Have a sweet evening or a beautiful morning, whatever part of the planet you're on. Take the best of care. And if you can do one thing this week, go and hoop. Go and play. Go and express. Go and enjoy your incredible body and this hula hoop and this art that we have been gifted. Mwah. I love you. I'll see you soon, I hope. Take the best of care, everyone. Bye.